Hey guys, I know exam season is rolling around now, and one of my teachers messaged me the other day telling me to come into my old high school to talk about exams, exam taking strategies, stress, and overall well-being and strategies around this exam season. And unfortunately, I couldn't go in because I was busy that day. So I recorded this Loom to send in instead.
How did you effectively plan studying for all your subjects? Did you prioritize studying for certain subjects over others? What are my tips for university? What is life at uni? How does it differ from high school? Next one, during the exam period, what kind of study techniques did you use? Which of these did you find effective? And which ones did you find as not as effective? Tell us a bit about your academic journey and what subjects you studied for VCE and the university course you're currently undertaking. How do you know if you've chosen the university course that was right for you? And what would you suggest for the students who are unsure about their pathway? How do you manage mental health and physical well-being during exams and avoid burnout? What are your tips for uni? Would you say skills from VCE are transferable to university courses? Do you have any regrets about the way you conducted exam revision? What would you have done differently?
And some of the students that this was played to kind of messaged me being like, oh, this was helpful for them. So I thought I'd upload it here on YouTube. So best of luck for your exam seasons and hope you get some value out of the rest of this video.
Hey guys, I just want to give a quick shout out to DJ for inviting me in to talk today. My apologies for not being able to make it today, but I thought I'd quickly record this little Loom to answer the questions that I was going to be asked if I came in today. I haven't looked at any of them yet, so my answers I guess will be as authentic as possible. And yeah, I'll just rapid fire through the questions and hopefully it's of value. Okay, let's get started. Tell us a bit about your academic journey and what subjects you studied for VCE and the university course you're currently undertaking. Cool. So my academic journey, I'll take you back to subject selection. Initially, I picked accounting, specialist, math, accounting as my 3-4, methods, chem, bio, and English as my subjects. Fun fact, I did one lesson of Spech in transition into year 11 at the end of year 10, and I dropped it. I walked straight from G16 straight into Mr. Tague's office to be like, I want to drop the subject. And then I ended up picking up further. So I did 2, 3, 4 subjects in year 11, which was further in accounting, and the rest I mentioned in year 12. And in university, I'm studying a double degree at Monash in education and science, secondary education and science. Cool. Let's move on to the next one. During exam period, what kind of study techniques did you use? Which of these did you find effective? And which ones did you find as not as effective? Yeah, I think some of the common study strategies I used was past papers. I think literally everyone uses past papers, but also reteaching as well. Most of my study sessions in exam period were actually on FaceTime with my friends, you know, Vance, Jash, Harsh, all these people. And we used to constantly just like teach each other stuff. That was really effective as well. In terms of using past exam papers, I think there is definitely an effective way to use past exam papers and an ineffective way. For methods, I think I did like 30 something exam 1s, and for exam 2s like 20-ish exam 2s. Is it helpful to do that many exams? I'll be honest, probably not. There's a very quick plateau at which point you kind of hit your like improvement peak and you're not improving a lot after that. At that point, you should stop spamming exams and actually dive into the actual mistakes you're making. So for methods and for all subjects, I think the biggest study hack tip, whatever, right, technique during exams is every single mistake I made, I had a exercise book for each subject where I, like if it was like a physical paper, I'd cut it out and I'd paste it in the book and I'd write out like worked solutions to that question. And in the process of doing that, usually I'd be able to identify what was the conceptual misunderstanding or gap in knowledge that was causing me to make those errors. Silly mistakes are not really silly mistakes. There is actually a mistake there, whether it's declaratively or procedurally. So don't believe in silly mistakes. Silly mistakes should be your last resort as a justification to the mistakes you're making. So definitely have like a logbook. That's I think what the older year levels who told me about this called their exercise book. So I guess I had a logbook, and have a logbook for all your subjects, beside English, I guess. Okay, cool. Next question. How did you effectively plan studying for all your subjects? Did you prioritize studying for certain subjects over others? Yeah. So my plan for studying for all my subjects, my plan was just to get started at a particular point in time and start exam prep. So by now I had started for all my subjects. I was doing whatever techniques and right to prepare for exams. I didn't really have a plan in terms of like, oh, I want to be able to revise this chapter by this day. Because by this time I was basically doing practice exams and retrieval techniques. And I just knew that if I just started early enough, I'd be able to get more of that in. So that was my entire plan. English is a fun one. Maybe I'll talk about that a bit later. But how did I prioritize my subjects? Yes, I definitely prioritized my subjects. So I did 2, 3, 4s in year 11. And in terms of how I did well, like I did well in them, so I knew that they were likely to be top fours, which meant that I definitely was gonna have a bottom 2, right? And I was doing 4 subjects in year 12, methods, chem, bio, English, and I knew that bio was gonna be a bottom 4. So in reality, I did 2 exams for bio in total, and then the actual studying I did for the bio exam was the day after the English exam on the Thursday and the day before the bio exam. So I didn't prioritize that subject at all. And I think that's one of that would be one of my biggest tips. If you guys know your bottom 4, whether that be through SAC results or the fact that like you just don't want to study for a particular subject, like if you know your bottom 4, it's actually a huge advantage, because that means you can disproportionately spend that time that you would have spent on your bottom 4 on your top 4 subjects. So in terms of prioritization, I did a crap ton of chemistry because I knew it was going to be a top 4, and I did a crap ton of English because it has to be a top 4. And then methods, as I said, I did do a lot of, but honestly, retrospectively, I could have been more efficient. And bio, I literally didn't really do anything for exams. Okay, did you have any regrets about the way you conducted exam revision? What would you have done differently? I would have started proper English exam revision in terms of writing essays even earlier. What else? For methods, I think my biggest regrets actually lie for chem and methods. For chemistry, I was pretty strong at the subject, and there were only a few things that I was a bit weak on, and honestly, I didn't really work on my weaknesses. I just kept spamming practice papers, and then I hit my plateau, and after that, for both methods and chem, I continued to kind of do that rather than actually take a step back, realize, oh, I'm actually really bad at this particular aspect or this particular concept, and go deep on it, because in the exam, those things came up, and I still lost marks there, where like 6 weeks before the exam, I knew that those were weak areas, and then on the exam day, I knew those were weak areas, and I lost marks on the entirety of those 6 weeks and on the exam day. So in your exam prep, if I could do it again, I would definitely, after the initial past paper spam and plateauing, I would really focus in on your weak areas, because those are the places you're going to lose marks. How did you manage your mental health and physical well-being during exams and avoid burnout? Okay, 2 tips. I was always on FaceTime with my friends. So Jash, Vanj, Harsh, Rishi, we were just always doing stuff on FaceTime. I was talking a lot to my friends. I still do now. It's good to just talk things through, have a bit of a laugh, joke around. So that's one thing. And then the second thing is just like perspective. In year 11, I was really bad. Like I was very stressed for exams. In year 12, I was so chill. And the reason to that is because I had really embedded this mindset of, if you really look at it from like a perspective, like if you just really zoom out, there's probably people, like we are so fortunate to be living in Australia, a first world country. There are people across the world, like today, as you're like watching this, that literally don't know where their next meal will come from on their table. They really don't know how to get clean drinking water tomorrow. So like our problems of like stressing out for exams really aren't that big in hindsight. And I had really internalized that. And whenever I used to be stressed or thing, I used to always say that there's probably 1 million people in the world that would just kill to be in my position and sit these exams without prep. So that really helped me. But I'm a bit of a hypocrite because recently I've forgotten those things. So I'm trying to re-internalize those mindsets back into myself to manage my mental and physical well-being. I was exercising a little bit as well. What is life at uni? How does it differ from high school? It's much more independent. You have to take way more ownership. Which is like ownership and agency is probably the big thing. It kind of sums up everything up. All your advantages come from that, all your disadvantages come from that. Advantages as in you can control your time, you don't have to rock up to uni. I go twice a week, like in person. Obviously I have online classes. You get to like really pick whatever you want to do, right? And the negative side effects are the same. The lecturers don't give a shit about you. Don't give a poop about you. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to swear, but the lecturers don't care. So a lot of the times, if you're stuck, then you will be stuck until you do something about it. Agency and ownership, that's pretty much the advantages and disadvantages of uni. What are your tips for uni? Would you say skills from VC are transferable to university courses? I would say, honestly, not that much. I think you really need to adapt as you enter university. Not all skills. I would say maybe like 30% of skills from VC are transferable to university courses, because that ownership thing. It's just like the structure of education changes so much, and the way the content is presented to you, that you really have to adapt and get new skills to tackle these new challenges. So I personally believe that like there isn't as much transferable skills as you think there will be. You will kind of need to adapt and learn things on the go. What are my tips for university? Join lots of clubs, and really put yourself out there. Put yourself out there and join a lot of clubs. How do you know if you've chosen the university course that was right for you? And what would you suggest for the students who are unsure about their pathway? Look, just like the video that I actually watched that you guys are supposed to watch, I'm not sure if you're gonna watch, but honestly, you actually just don't know. I honestly personally believe that us as 18, or you guys as 18-year-olds, to pick your career for the rest of your lives at that age is honestly ludicrous. So you actually don't know if the course was right for you. I question it, week to week, whether what I'm doing is what I want to be doing. But honestly, you really don't know. So you really just have to give it time. And the worst case scenario is you can always change. I think as you get a little older, not that I'm much older than you guys, you kind of realize that we have a lot of time. Like, we're still very young. So we can try things out. I think the time for us now is to try things out. And if we're unsure, and we can just kind of change, right? We're very, again, fortunate to be in Australia, a country where there's so many options. So I honestly don't have a lot of advice for that. You kind of just don't know. Do your research. This is honestly, I don't have enough time to go into this question, but yeah. Anyway, if you guys have any other questions or want to do any commentary on any of the things I've said, or just want to have a chat, just DM me on Instagram and I will try to get back to you. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you, DJ, for inviting me, but I didn't come, so lol. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll see you guys later. Bye.